Okay, we shall officially start our class. Let's have a short community prayer. Good evening po sa lahat. No? Once again, good evening to each and everyone. I would like to welcome you to Philippine Christian University. This is Transnational Education Extension Program, or we called ourselves the PCU TNEP. And you are all under the MM Collab Extension. So just for the information of those not able to join our general orientation, some students are asking about whether may groups ba na iba, no? Kasi halimbawa may Manny Pacquiao, no, na nag-aaral sa PCU. Yes po. So I think Senator Pacquiao is a continuing student under the Masters in Public Administration. So he belongs to another group, and there are around, I think, 20 plus groups, no, for the PCU extension. So may mga grupo na maraming artista, may mga grupo na maraming nasa government, no, by sector ng for example yung may mga taga Supreme Court, may mga taga gobyerno sa ospital, no, and the rest, no, may Congress ata, no? House of Representatives. So there are some groups, no, allowing their staff or personnel to continue graduates program. So tayo po ay MM Collab Group. And I think we also have been recognized for the last year's meeting of coordinators. No? So we call ourselves the site coordinator. So I am the site coordinator for MM Collab. So we were recognized as most organized, outstanding group, and maybe perhaps because of the activities that we did. So to supplement learning, so we make sure for MM Collab Group that we have a series of webinars. So I think I will explain that later on. You can still avail because of this flexible platform nowadays. In the conduct of fora, conferences, so we already have the platform, the YouTube and the other conference platform. So there was a, I think, consensus, no, na certificate can be anytime as long as you are able to get the recording and then learn from that. No, if there is a revalida or an evaluation to secure compliance, no, on the participation. So we will have that. No? We have numerous webinars already conducted for the past year. No? So this is the second school year for PCU transnational education. And when we say transnational, so we are under the CMO 15, that's the Conduct of Flexible Learning, Policy Standards and Guidelines of the Commission on Higher Education Memorandum on the Conduct of Flexible Learning. So nakalagay doon lahat, no, ng mga compliance ng university on the flexible or hybrid or they call it flipped classroom or instruction that is both using the synchronous and asynchronous platforms. So you can we can search on that and we can have a copy on that. So nandun lahat ang mga guidelines. So PCU naman is compliant and PCU is an autonomous. So yung the level of autonomy has the authority, no, to craft its own organization. So ayun po tayo. So tayo po ay nasa MM Collab Group. So I'll be here to assist you. And fortunately, we already have our first batch of graduates. So there are around 129 from the master's program and PhD. So yung mga PhD ay hindi pa sila gagraduate because they are still on their dissertation defense. So 1 year pa po ang transnational. So 1 year din po tayo. And yung mga non-thesis ng masters, so they are already getting their transfer credentials to PCU, like the TOR, the diploma, and we are awaiting for the face-to-face graduation. So there will be a schedule for the first batch, hopefully, no, when all alerts are put into a good level that we can engage, no, face-to-face in a larger group. So ang graduation naman ay nasa PICC. Now, if not, then there will be graduation by program. So I think the most number of graduates are coming from 31 of them, no, from the Master in Management, major in hospital administration. So they are all practicing doctors and medical doctors and some of them are nurses and others are personnel, no? Related to hospital administration or management. So yun po ang ating composition. No? So we welcome all major programs of PCU. The only worry is that we should be able to create a classroom. No? So importante kasi yung size, class size na i-maintain. PhD should have 15 students by program, and then for masters, minimum of 20 students per program. So yun po ang mini-maintain. So lahat po gusto kong i-accommodate, pero mahirap din po na mag-loading or mag-subject load, no, sa curriculum ng isang estudyante lang, dalawang estudyante lang, no. So isa-isahin po lahat yan eh. So importante po na ini-encourage ko, no, na maghanap ng mga classmates, no, para sabay-sabay. Okay. And we have the most number of classes now for hospital administration. I think there are 3 sections or no, 4 sections. So they will be taking their comprehensive exam. No? Ito yung second batch ng MN Collab group. So they have already accomplished their academic subjects. Tapos na sila ng compre. So ngayon po ay tapos na sila ng academic, so on their way to their comprehensive exam. So ito yung second batch na ngayon. Okay? So nandito po tayo ngayon sa academic year 2021-2022, second semester. Okay? So we are catering by semester, no? By batches. Ayan. Okay, so tayo po ay nasa 5th batch na po tayo, no, for MN Collab. So this is the second trimester. No? So yung iba, they were able to get their student number the last semester but not able to join. So ngayon sila nagjo-join. So hopefully ma-invite pa natin yung iba para meron tayong mga classmates, no, dun sa program. And some of the students, I think, no, there are some students around here na pangalawang masters na nila, or yung mga masters, they continue to their PhD program. So ayan. So pagkatapos ng masters, nag-PhD na sila. So they are enrolled now. Now for PCU, if you are a graduate of master's program, Nonthesis, pwede kang magtuloy, no, sa PhD using your TOR, no, for sure, no, TOR ng PCU. So pwede kang magtuloy sa PhD. So parang yun ang straight program nila. And no bridging. So no bridging courses. So you can continue with your PhD kasi sa PhD naman compulsory yung dissertation. So lahat tayo magkakaroon ng thesis or the dissertation for the PhD program. Now, if your masters ay hindi sa PCU, tapos non-thesis, yun ang mga may bridging. So nagbi-bridging program sila, I think 6 units. No? So 2 subjects for non-thesis masters to proceed to the PhD program. Okay, so marami pa po tayong mga information or news updates as we go along, and later on there would be some questions regarding your schedule, or I think we can entertain now before we officially start our introduction to the subject, no, which is research and statistics. So this is for masters and PhD, and including the Master of Arts, no, in education. Now, if you look at your schedule, most of us are enrolled in 4 subjects. Okay, so 4 subjects po yan. So nag-alternate po yung professor. I think Dr. Poblete called me up kasi may klase din siya ng 7:30. So I told him that we have to go first, no, because we are the first subject. So I think there will be some adjustments on the schedule. So for every subject po, there are around 4 sessions, no, for synchronous classes. So magkakaroon po ng 4 na sessions, and then the rest po ay asynchronous. So that is where you are going individually for your requirements and readings. No? So in our case, I think we can have Friday. So okay na ba tong Friday na magiging synchronous class natin?
It's okay with me.
Yeah. So yung Friday natin, we can pwede ring mag-Friday si Doc Poblete, no? So mag-alternate. Halimbawa, next week wala tayong research, okay? Tapos then the next week magkakaroon tayo ng synchronous ulit, no? So alternate yung week, okay? Why? Because may mga may mga task tayo sa subject, no, na minsan hindi natin kayang i-comply ng 1 week. So we need time, no? So when we meet, we can discuss those tasks. Okay? So I hope that that is clear, no? We can make some arrangements later. Okay, for example, pag meron na tayong task mamaya, and then some of you would say, parang hindi natin kaya yan sa next week. So we can have the next Friday. No? So just to give ourselves ample time, no, to comply those tasks. And I think most of the students are still trying, no, to blend in, no, sa ganitong klaseng platform. And of course, 4 yung subjects niyo, no? So anytime naman pwedeng mag-start. Yun ang maganda. What is significant or maganda dito kasi yung lahat ng pinaka-terminal requirements like final exam if there is, or a much longer paper, no, for a requirement. So ang professor naman pwedeng maghintay hanggang end ng month, no? So nag-start po tayo ng February, so mag-end tayo doon sa calendar ng PCU, no? So hahabulin natin yung calendar ng PCU, I think by early May. No? Yun ang ating end kasi mag-start na naman ang next trimester. So what usually happens sa mga subjects natin, mag-iiwan ng mga requirements and then pwede na yung mga requirements dun sa dulo. No? So ang scheme lang, no, ang mechanism na ginagamit natin is that hindi sabay-sabay lahat, no? So magkakaroon ng ngayong February at saka yung March, so 2 subjects mag-alternate, tapos sa April may 2 subjects din na lalabas, no, na magsisynchronous. So para naman hindi masyadong mabigat. But I asked all professors to already welcome students to their Google Classroom. So there are 2 choices, a Google Classroom and the one that is Blue Book, no? Yung sinasabi nating Blue Book. Ang Blue Book kasi magbibigay ng access ang professor. So para siyang Google Classroom. So since tayo ay design, no, for Google Classroom, so kaya nagbigay ko ng access, no? And I hope later on we will show the classroom. Hope that others are already enrolled. So you can have all the materials there and requirements. So pag hindi tayo nag-synchronous, then you have much of your time, no, to go over yung mga materials and your submission. So lahat po nasa classroom. Okay? Para hindi mawala yung ating mga submissions. And that is the reason why dapat nauna yung ating PCU Gmail account because we can make use of the drive, no? So sabi ng PCU, our drive, our Google Drive is unlimited. So we can store there our materials, our videos, anything, no? Na pwede nating magamit. And ang isasubmit natin is yung shared link na lang, no? Para makita ng prof kung ano yung nasa drive. Okay? Access to your submission. So yun ang ginagamit po natin. Kaya we always secure our PCU Gmail account because yun ang pinakaunang requirement. Kasi using institutional account, nare-restrict yung iba. No? So pag wala kang ganong account, hindi mo ma-access. So it will also protect us. And okay, so what else? So yun ang ating schema, no? Ang ating ginagawang schedule. Now, would there be questions on that regard? Yes po. You can raise your hand or you can use your microphone to be acknowledged. So, may tanong ba? So may apat po tayo na subjects. So we make sure na meron tayong access doon sa mga classmates para sa mga updates. Tapos I think yung mga professor naman nag-create ng group chat, no? And some classmates were asked to create, then the others can join. So yun ang ginagawa. Okay? Para doon sa mga updates. For my class, no worry because you can always PM me. No? But I put updates doon sa ating mga group chats.
Good evening, Doc.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, Doc. Regarding sa Google Class, i-clarify ko lang po. Bale, separate si Google Class kay Bluebook, tama?
Yes, it's an option of the professor. So, ang problema kasi sa Bluebook, ang problema sa Bluebook ay kung isasubmit ko, no? Kung isasubmit ko yung mga names nyo, ang magiging enrollment nyo is solely on the professor. Now, what I mean by that, may mga instances kasi, no, na ang estudyante cannot join the class, and then the student can go to another class, no, similar class, no. Tapos magkakaroon ng agreement, no, kung doon siya mag-join sa another class. Okay. And so magkakaroon ng agreement yung professor kasi yung iba conflicts sa schedule and so forth and so on. So we entertain those circumstances. So lalo na doon sa mga subjects na mga specialization, no? So hindi ka na pwedeng lumipat kung nandun ka na sa Bluebook kasi ang ma-open mo yung subject lang na enrolled. Kasi ang PCU ang mag-i-encode. Sila kasi ang mag-i-enroll. Okay? So unlike sa Google Classroom or any other platform na ginagamit ng prof, you can join other classes, no? Just to comply, no, with the requirements. So pwedeng ganon. Now with your enrollment now, no? Kasi ang ngayon so far isang group lang ang nabuo for masters at saka isang class din ang nabuo for PhD. So wala talagang option, no? Isang ano lang isang isang class lang. Unlike last semester, for the masters we open around 6 sections, no? So 6 sections na maraming professors, no? So halimbawa sa management, nagtuturo si Dr. Poblete. And then on another group, ang nagtuturo si Dr. Balute. So kung nagko-conflict ka, pwede kang humingi kay Dr. Balute ng schedule para maka-join ka. No? So yun ang ginagawa namin. Kasi yung iba talaga hindi consensus kasi ng klase. No? So pag sinabi ng majority, Saturday tayo. So yung iba hindi kaya ang Saturday, kaya hinahanapan ng classroom, no? Na pwedeng mag-join. So officially enrolled ka doon, but the professor will give you the grade, no? Kung saan ka nagpasa ng requirement. So siya ang mag-grade, no? Para doon sa subject mo. So if we are going to use the blue book, walang ganong option, no? So kung saan ka na-enroll, doon ka, no? So yun ang nakita ko na limitation. So yung mga options ng mga estudyante na they can't join because may mga issues, no, sa schedule nila. So yun ang nakita ko, no, na parang limitation, no? Kasi ang PCU ang nag-i-encode. But lahat ng ating loading, lahat ng ating subjects, sinasubmit ko sa PCU. And ITC is asking if they will encode, no? So nasa professor yan kung anong platform ang gagamitin niya. Okay? So nasa professor. But
Thank you.
yeah, but anytime if you want, we can ask the PCU to put you there in the blue book. Okay? So wala namang problema. Yun lang ang nakita kong problema, no, na limitation. Kasi ang ma-access mo yung klase mo lang. Okay? Kasi doon ka officially enrolled. So kung hahanap ka ng paraan na makahabol, no, by joining other classes, so walang ganong chance kasi isa lang yung encoding ng blue book. So hindi ka maka-access dun sa iba. Kasi hindi ka enrolled dun eh. So yun lang ang ang naging limitation. But so far, we are all compliant. No? So nagsasubmit, nag-update, no, ang mga professor sa PCU, no, ng kanilang mga ginagawa. No? So like this one, so this is needed, our video recording, screenshots, discussion, no? So these are all part of the professor's submission to PCU. Yun lang ang nakita ko kasi parang gusto kong tulungan yung mga estudyante kasi kadalasan yun ang naging problema, no? Yung schedule nila. So I asked them to be accommodated, no, by another professor para makahabol doon sa subject. May mga ganun. Okay? So, ano pa ba? So, okay na tayo, no? So, as we go along, may mga tanong, no problem, no? So, we will address them. Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
po.
this is now our classroom. Okay, so this is now our classroom for research and statistics. Let's check, no, kung nandito na ba kayo. Okay, so I hope that you are here. So ito yung mga naka-access na sa classroom. Ayan.
Sir, I think it is stuck sa YouTube video. Yun lang po ang naka-appear so far. Wala pa po yung sinasabi yung classroom.
Ay,
Hindi ko po namin nakikita.
hindi nakikita? Sorry.
Opo.
Sige.
Nakastuck lang po sa video.
Okay, hold on. Okay, how about this? Can you now see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes po.
So this is our classroom. Let's check. Okay, so this is our classroom. Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is our classroom, research and statistics. No, I'll click the participants. So those students able to access the classroom. So ito po. So ito na silang yung naka-access. Yan. No? So dapat po may access na tayo dito sa classroom. Okay, so how to access po? Meron po tayong class code. No? So I'll just copy this one. So maybe I can write in here sa chat box. Yan po ang ating classroom code, access code. No? So mas maganda po kung gagamit tayo, no? If we can use our PCU account, Gmail account, so we can directly access. No? Kasi may mga restriction kasi this is a classroom. So we use the domain, yung PCU, no? PCU ang ating domain. Okay, so I hope you can access, so you can have the classroom. Okay. So at the moment, okay, nailagay ko po dito yung ating course outline. So this is our syllabus. And then I have here our requirements, no, for the course. So as early as now, because this is a research class, no, so it will take a time to have all those requirements. So we need to know already at the moment kung ano po yung kailangan natin po para dito sa course na ito. So meron po tayong task 1, task 2, task 3, and then task number 4. Okay, so I will not be giving anymore the final exam. I'll be only grading you on those tasks, no? So ito po yung ating requirements, no? So task 1, ito yung ating research scaffold. And then yung task number 2, ito yung skeletal ng ating MRAD. So this is emphasizing the introduction and then the use of our related literature and studies, no, on the variables that we would like to investigate. And then dun sa task number 3, ito yung ating skeletal MRAD. So this is now with the methodology and then somehow a emphasis on your data gathering. So yung instrument, no, na gagamitin. And then task number 4 is the final manuscript. Okay. So ito na yung task number 4 natin. So this is the manuscript with the results, discussion, implications, acknowledgement, and then references. Okay. So if you notice, ang ating requirement is a practice, no, to do the actual reporting of research based, no, study. Okay, so ito po ang ating tasking. Now for our course, so since we don't have the luxury of time, pwede po tayo dito magkaroon ng partner or small group. Okay? Especially with your specialization. So pwede po tayo mag-create, no? I think that is the most viewed now, no? Yung konsepto ng collaborative research. Okay? So you can choose a partner or a group of 3. Hanggang 4 lang po tayo, no? So pwede po tayong maghanap, no, ng kasama para sa ating output. So this is a progressive output. So we start with task number 1, and then task number 2, task number 3, task number 4. And then you know already naman what does it look like, no? We are exposed, no, dun sa reporting ng EMRAD, no? Yung mga journals na binabasa natin or nakikita natin. Okay? So when we speak about wala pa ata dito yung sample ng EMRAD, no? So anything, any okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Later na lang pag ano. Anyway. Sorry. Okay. So ang ating pinaka-output, no, yung presentation ng EMRAD, no. So introduction, methodology, results, and discussion. So it's the official reporting of a journal presentation type. So when we submit our research output for publications, so we use the EMRAD. And this is also in preparation for the PCU, our PCU thesis and dissertation. So the president, I think you can check on this webinar session here. So the president, Dr. Gawan, presented two presentations on research on what the PCU wants, no, from the students, especially in the grad school. So meron siyang lecture dyan na ginawa, and giving us the format, no, the presentation, and the manner, no, ng ating pag-present ng ating thesis or dissertation. So having said that, so we follow, no, so we follow our procedure, so it's easy for us, no, later on. The function of research is this class is basically to prepare us for our thesis or dissertation. So this is a way of an exercise on how do we go about writing and reporting our research output. So ito po yung nakita ko na paraan para mag-guide tayo dun sa ano ba ang ating ipe-present. So we start with the research as scaffold. So later we will explain that task number 1. And then yung task number 2, so I will add another posting here with respect to task number 2, how to present yung template ng ating skeletal MRAD. And then task number 3, yung meron na siyang methodology. And then finally yung task number 4 na buo na siya. Okay. So if I may check on the last, okay, this one. So this is the last classroom we use for research. Okay. Ito na po yung magiging template ng ating task number 4. So may thesis na tayo, may proponent, tapos may abstract, may keywords, and then may introduction, may method, results, and then discussion. And then we can include recommendation, conclusion, implications, acknowledgement, and then references. So ito yung ating template. So ito yung ating template for the presentation of our output. So again, this is an exercise. First on the nuances of reporting using the MRAD. So basically, ito yung mga nakikita natin dun sa mga publications or journals. The use of MRAD. And there could be some subtitles depending on the journals that we submit on the publishing company that we submit. So meron din silang internal compliance dun sa mga additional subtitle. But in general, yun ang pinang-follow. Yung introduction, methodology, results, discussion. Of course, the discussion will have the analysis. So ito pong ating mga template. I will put this once we are done. So ang may mga samples naman dito. Okay, so this is an example of the MRAD na sinasabi natin. Okay. So we had this published as a group. So I have the authors here. So we are in a group. Dr. Bernardo, Dr. Fernandez, and then me. And then this is a senior high school principal from JRU. So this is a collaborative work that we did. So we able to publish this sa Journal of Research Policy and Practice of Teachers and Teachers Education. So this was published last December. Okay. So ito po yung aming MRAD, So yung requirement based dun sa journal. So the usual, may mga authors, proponent, the abstract, the keywords, and then you have the introduction. So the one that I mentioned in the process of the narratives, lalabas na yung mga related literature. So hindi na siya separate as a chapter. So it's already integrated here. Across, hanggang dun sa dulo, you have to keep mentioning literature and review to verify, to vouch your variables, and then your results, and then of course your analysis on the tested variables. Okay, so ito yung introduction, tapos may methodology. So this is the traditional, no? Chapter 3, no? Which is on methodology, research design, participants, ganyan. So ito yung gusto ng journal, no? So we have to indicate research design, participants, instruments, and then we have the results and discussion. And then conclusion and recommendation, and then limitation of the study. So we included implications, and then our acknowledgement, and then references. Okay. So our exercise for this course is, hopefully we can have like this. So I think one question now is that, can we have this done on May? So yun ang pinaka question, no? That's why I asked you you can work collaboratively. So you can look for a partner or 3 or 4. Then you can go back to your old research undertakings. So maybe this is the time to polish or update your data. Who knows that with this exercise, we can have a publication later. Because we have done researches already, so what we can do is maybe update data kasi naglapse na, no? So we can make use of that. This is a way to make a new testing, perhaps, on data gathering, and then maybe with what we have, no, we can eventually have this for publication. Now, another way also of encouraging you to do like this, no, because in any higher education, the admission to grad school will always come with, what is your research? Okay, so I think na-experience na natin yan, no, sa ibang school. So pag nag-inquire tayo ng grad school program, mayroong mga interview, no? Yung iba may entrance exam. So I have experience an entrance exam in a grad school. Okay, I have also experienced interview for admission in the grad school. So usually ang unang tinatanong is, what is your research interest? No? What are your interests, no, in the research? Or do you have at least 3 initial working titles of your research? Kasi grad school talagang research, no? So hinihingan tayo ng mga interest natin sa research. And I think that's one good reason of this exercise. Hopefully you can have this as your thesis or dissertation later. Now, thesis pala is individual. And then dissertation, of course, is also individual. But if you look into the lecture of President Gawan, I will share also some of the presentations of the president. Ang importante sa PCU is yung social implication. So applicability ng study. So we have done so much, and then they are all just display in the National Library or shelves, no, for accreditation, blah blah, no, but hindi natin na translate, no, into its own, the purpose of having that as social impact, no, changing a system, procedure, instruction, approaches, no, in the management of school or our organizations or company, no. So dapat nata-translate, no, yun ang pinaka basic na requirement, no. Gusto ng PCU na we can have all the variables in the world, no? But let us focus on what is important. Okay, and well, we can have the methodology later on as an action research or descriptive research, but what is important is that the things that are commonly happening, no, in our organization, maybe we can have that, no, in the approach of inductive or deductive. We can use quali-quanti approaches, but ang importante is that meron tayong maiambag, no, na yung exercise natin. And we can have that as a pilot study because of the constraint of time. So I will allow that, no? And then later on, dito pa naman tayo magstay sa grad school. Later on kasi, pag nandun na kayo sa project paper 1, project paper 2, no, sa next semester, yung ginawa nyo dito, pwede nang i-elaborate doon. So pwede nang i-expand, no, yung scope, no, yung depth, no? So tuloy-tuloy na yung output. Okay? Now, if you are non-thesis, until you graduate, you can make use of the paper. So, halimbawa, later on, dun na kayo sa thesis 1 under Doxario, or dun na kayo sa project seminar 1 under Dr. Batin. So, since you are in one program, classmates, so pwede ninyong i-submit dun sa kanya yung ginawa natin dito. So nag-i-increase lang siya ng depth, no? Nag-i-increase lang siya ng content, no? Para tuloy-tuloy yung ating ginagawa. Okay? Kasi yun naman ang importante. So meron tayong maambag, mayroon tayong output at the end of our program. Okay? Na talagang na-polish natin na ito na yung ating isa sa mga article or paper na nagawa natin for the program. And at the end, meron po tayong presentation of the proposal or the output. So I think if I have shared, no, the video, ginawa namin yung first batch, no, last September, or I think October. October. So we have 2 days presenting their output. So ito na yung ginawa nila from research class to the project paper class to the seminar paper class, no? So all in all, nabuo nila, no? Yung iban talagang nabuo nila yung ang kanilang papel. Now you can also make use of this when you go to another class, no? I think which I will also handle yung project development and program management na class, no? So it's a research base also. So yung ating research, ating palakihin pa, no, doon sa subject na yon. So since we are in the management area, no, or in the academe or in the organizations, depende dun sa requirement. So we can have, for example, budgetary, the budgeting, no, allocation. So isasama na siya doon, no? So yung mag-iiba na yung anyo niya ng presentation. Meron ng mga additional subtitle. The use of illustrations, no? Meron ng mga kung ano yung project na nabuo. Okay? So yung research natin, talagang meron siyang at the end may output siya na tangible, no? Na nakikita. So yung iba out of the variables, for example, dun sa mga doctors, no? They are inquiring about mga first kasi sila, no? First batch, no? Nandun pa yung pandemya, no? Hindi pa natin alam yung mga standards, policies, procedures. So yun ang kanilang ginawang research. So ang pinaka-output project nila is the infographic, no? So nag-create sila ng parang infographic na how to, what are those. So hindi lang siya sila ang nag-conceptualize, no? Galing ito sa data na nag-gather nila. So paano ipa-process, no, ng maayos ang hospital management. So yung kliyente, no, yung mga clients, no, mga patients, for example, the conduct of telemedicine, no, telecommunication, teleconsultation. So gumawa sila ng infographics, no? So meron ng mga yung iba naggumawa ng output nga yung pinaka-checklist. What are the do's and the don't? What are the procedures in accomplishing procurement in the hospital, something like that. So galing sila sa pag-imbestiga, nag-gather sila ng data, and then ito na yung implication, no? So dinala nila yung kanilang output dun sa pinaka other subjects required in the program. Okay, another one, another example, yung mga nasa edu, no? For example, sa education. So ang kanilang unang research is on the effectivity or the description narratives of the collaborative learning. So yun ang gusto nilang imbestigahan, or the use of technology in the learning process. So yun ang kanilang research. And then eventually, nakapag-produce sila ng output. Ano yung output? Yung module. So module na naka-embed, no, yung technology sa LMS. So may tangible, no, na output. So inimbestigahan mo, ang ending may nagkaroon ka ng project, and it involves allocation of funds, no? It involves Gantt chart, no, yung paano i-accomplish ang project, no? Ano ang timeline, no? And then ano yung mga success indicator. So that will come in another class, no? So yung ginagawa natin dito or gagawin natin dito, hindi lang siya mag-end hanggang dito sa course, no? So pwede natin siyang dalhin hanggang graduate tayo sa program. And I asked PCU that if you can, no, if you can produce the output of your project, kahit non-thesis ka, pwedeng ilagay doon sa TOR mo, no, na nakapag-present ka ng output. Kasi yung iba, hindi nila hanggang ano lang sila, hanggang proposal kasi nga walang time, but they have already the blueprint, no? So later on siguro, no, they can apply that, and somehow in their professional career, no, outside of PCU, pwede na yung igawin na publication, pwede nang gawing program sa kanilang mga opisina, no? But ang ano natin dito is that kung talagang seryoso ka, kasi ikaw ay non-thesis, so pwede kang mag-present ng output, no, project-based output. Okay, so yun ang isa sa mga in-encourage namin. And okay, so ibig sabihin ito yung product na gagawin natin dito, hindi ito yung pang isang semester lang. So pwede natin itong dalhin doon sa ibang subjects, especially the seminar paper 1, seminar paper 2. So for MBA, gagawin mo to into the strategic management, kasi ang seminar nyo is on strategic management format na, no? So gagawin nyo na doon, pwede nyo nang lagyan doon, no, sa strategic management, nandun yung SWOT analysis, nandun yung TOS analysis, tapos nandun yung mga reorganizing vision mission, the strategic, no, the plan until mga indicators, no. So whatever we will have, no, today, then this will not end with this course, no. Para hindi natin masayang yung pagbasa ng literature, kasi yun ang problema sa grad school, no. So kung iba-iba ang ating kino-concentrate, ang dami nating binabasa, no. So no complex. So as early as now, pwede tayong mag-concentrate into ano bang gusto natin, no, para dito sa ating program. Kasi usually ang nangyari sa grad school, kompleto sa academics pero hindi gumagraduate kasi nga hindi nakabuo ng papel. Yun ang pinaka-importante, yung papel sa grad school. So yun ang gusto nating gawin. So concentrate and then improve. So you can delimit, no? So pwede ka nang mamili talaga ng mga i-concentrate mo na literature and studies. Okay? Para dun sa topic mo. Okay, so yun ang ating ambisyon, no? Dito sa nagtagumpay naman, no? Yung mga batches na maximizing the use of the study. Kasi in any school talagang nire-require what is your research, what are your research interests. Okay. So ito po ang ating gagawin, no, dito sa subject na to. Okay? So with respect to that, ito po ang ating unang gawin, no? Yung research scaffold. So this is actually a one paper later, no? So I have some random samples here. Ito yung gagawin natin na output for next meeting natin, no? Ayan, may mga samples dito, meron ako mga corrections, no? So it's an exercise on how we can conceptualize our research. Okay. So meron tayong mga samples dito na meron ganyan, no? Submission. So i-explain muna natin kung paano gawin siya. Okay, so ito yung samples dito sa random comments, no? Dito. And then I also have here modules if you want, no? So ito yung pag-uusapan natin na mga topics on how we can accomplish our task number 1. Okay? So let me start, no, with this one, no? So ito yung ating unang discussion. Okay. Can I have just a water muna saglit lang. Okay, so I have here our introductory presentation for the course now. So I put this into the title, Research pa ba? Kasi you complete me. So this is actually intended an elementary approach because bakit research ka ba? Kasi you complete me. Kasi hindi tayo talagang gumagraduate pag walang research, no? So that will complete us as a student and the undergrad, in the grad school. So we have to do 1 or 2 studies. So it will complete us, no, to the program. So kailangan talagang dumaan sa isang research. Okay, so this is important nuances, no, on research. Okay, so let's have this simple exercise. Okay, can we use our chat box? Are you still with me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can we use our chat box? So there's a question here. What do you see? So let's start with this first. So please answer on the question asked. No? What do you see? So please use our chat box. Okay. Next, please write D2. So it means to say the drawing or illustration, no? D2. Okay, another question. What do you see? So this is another drawing or illustration. Picture. What do you see? Okay. So let me go back. Drawing 1. What do you see? And then we have another one. D2. What do you see? Okay, so please keep submitting your answers. So what do you see? And then what do you see? Okay, so we have two illustrations here, two pictures. Okay, let me check on our chat box. Okay, so looking at your answers, no? Looking at your answers, yung iba talaga dito may nakikita na hindi natin nakikita, no? So may nakakita na ng hopeless, hardship, life struggle. Oh, hindi natin nakita yan. So may mga third eye ata yung iba. Okay. Poverty. Sige. Okay, reading newspaper, poverty, chaos. Oh. Hindi naman tayo marites. Okay. Commotion, serenity. Oh, ang galing ng nakita ni JR. Serenity. Okay. So, ito yung mga sumagot, ha? Okay. So, I think parang ready na tayo talaga mag-research. Okay? So, handang-handa na. Kasi yung iba, tawag dito yung skin deep. No? So, hindi lang nakikita yung anong nakikita yung abstract. No? So, sa likod ng mga picture na to, may poverty, may serenity, may hopeless. No? So parang mayroon tayong nakikita. No? Akala ko ba ang nakita lang natin dila, electric fan, panot, yan. Matanda, okay. Tuwalya, tiles na, ano ba to? Checkered, no? Newspaper, okay. Pero yung iba, may ibang nakikita, no? Dito sa dalawang pictures. So, I guess we are ready for that research. No? So this is actually after Yolanda. No? So this is taken from Tacloban. Yung sinabi nilang looting. No? Yung binuksan yung mga, siguro, dahil panic na ang mga tao, gutom, sarado lahat, no? Dahil doon sa typhoon, no? So yun, binuksan nila yung mga tindahan. So this was taken after Yolanda. yung sinabi doon sa news na binuksan yung mga tindahan, nagkuha ng mga supplies ang mga tao. Okay. Itong second picture naman ito, this is actually happening, no? May isa nakatama doon, no? Yung housing sa Hong Kong. This is actually a housing in Hong Kong. So I don't know if this is a cage, no? But ito yung apartment na sinasabi, no? So you have to rent this apartment. Yan. May mga level ang apartment. Ewan ko kung ilang square meter yan. So yan lang ang nire-rent mo, no? Yung space na yan. So it's an apartment. Usually for working people. No? So nagre-rent sila ng apartment dyan. Okay. So that's the literal picture here, no? Yung nakikita natin. But looking at your answers, marami kayong nakikita, no? Na mas malalim pa dito sa mga larawang ito. And I think that is already the itch, no? Ito na yung kumakati-kati sa atin, no? Gusto nating malaman. We want to find out, no? Is there poverty in here? Is there hopelessness in here? Is there serenity in here? Ano bang meron dito, no? Sa mga larawang ito? And that is the beginning of research. So we search. We want to look for something to describe, no, a particular phenomenon, social phenomenon, yung mga nagaganap sa ating paligid. Okay. So this is basically a social science, no? Human experience. So ito yung nakikita natin. Okay. And baka sasabihin dito ng mga ibang field, no? Halimbawa, meron ba ditong mga IT? Kasi usually ang sa IT or sa information technology, they are supposed to produce a capstone, no? So yun ang mga ibang platform, no? Format ng presentation ng research. But whether it is a capstone, whether it is a strategic management, whether it is the social science research, or whether it is a business research, no? All in all, we have to go back to social phenomenon. Okay? So maybe out of this, IT people can make an infrastructure or produce a blueprint, no, of how we can make use of the funds, no, pag meron tayong crisis management. Okay. My one good friend of the IT, ang kanyang dissertation is making use of good harvest, no, by estimates of the weather, no. So may mga ganun outstanding, no, sa DIT, no, sa Doctor of Information Technology. So yung mga prototype, no. So meron tayong infrastructure base or software base. So these are all coming from social scenarios, no? Yung mga buhay-buhay ng tao, doon tayo humuhugot ng ating questioning, ng ating variables. And from there, then we move on to dissect, no? To excavate or to dig in, no? Narratives or descriptions and why. And then we gauge them into variables so we can test, no? Meron bang relasyon, meron bang significance, no, itong mga nangyayari sa buhay-buhay. So that practically what doing research, no, engaging research is all about. So we go back to the social phenomenon. So this is one phenomenon and then this another one. Okay, and then we connect that to our specialization on how we can make use of this to propose something. So it's always at the end social implication. Okay. So ayun, parang maganda na yung mga sagot natin. No? So literally may nakita tayo, and then beyond that, no? So that is now the concept of why we do research. So beyond these pictures, there are questions that we need to make some correlation, significance, testing, and maybe in the our attempt is to put all this into a doable intervention para sa ating mga opisina, sa workplaces, kung saan man magiging relevant tayo as part of the organization. Okay. So what research and what research is not. So research, when we do research, we always go with the purpose. So we always look at the lens. So dapat meron na tayong lens ngayon, meron na tayong purpose, meron tayong focus. So it is where we are able to formulate and then somehow offer a method to answer certain problems. So we have to focus. Our focus is on the variables. And then understanding research is also understanding relationship. So ano ba ang mga predictors? Ano ba ang mga correlates? Ano ba ang mga relasyon ni X at saka ni Y? So there is always that what we call the dependent, independent variables. So we see a relationship, whether it is quali or quanti in the method, deductive, inductive. So there is always at the end, we see somehow reforms. So changing, altering, or improving something out of those measured variables. So hindi naman siya mag-stand out na isa lang. Kailangan meron siyang isang variable na doon tayo magkaroon ng significance or relationship or correlation in that manner. So first, we have to have a purpose. So try to look into a focus. Now, doing research, sabi ko nga doon sa ibang engagement na mag-share about research. In some schools, kaya natuwa ako dito sa K-12. Kasi ang K-12 meron silang immersion. I hope immersion can be a good placement for students to understand some avenues to conduct the research. So may immersion. In some schools, pag nag-enroll ka ng research, kailangan mo ng immersion. So immersion because this is where you will get your focus. This is where you will get why you have to do research. What would be your lens? Okay. So I have known one university na yung buong summer ng kanilang mga undergrad, they have to go into immersion. So mag-conceptualize ka, ano bang research interest mo? Okay, for example, you want children in conflict with the law. So pwede ka dun sa mga Boys Town, pwede ka dun sa mga juvenile delinquency organization na mamimit mo yung mga minor na may conflict sa batas. So sila ngayon ang magiging focus mo. Or if you want prostitution, dadalhin kanila dun sa kanilang auxiliary. So mayroong mga ka-tie-up na institution. So i-expose ka dun. So you will get your focus. You will get that exposure to the phenomenon. So ano ba ang nangyari doon? Makikita mo doon yung purpose, no? Yung dahilan. Okay? So bawat interest sectorial, no? So dadalhin ka doon, i-expose ka. Now, so since we don't have the time, so what we do is by our workplaces, our experiences. No? Yun naman ay isa sa mga magandang area for developing our focus. No? So we go back to our workplaces. So what are those that needs to be improved or needs to have some interventions, no, for reform? So that would be our focus. So since we are into management, so our management class will expose us to the areas of management. Kaya maganda dito sa Master in Management, meron tayo ngayong research, tapos meron kayong subject ng management. So you will be exposed to the cycle of management. No? So how to manage. So designing, implementing, staffing, controlling. So all the cycles, no? All the parts of the cycle for managing organization. And then you also have your human resource course, no? HRM with HBO. So ang daming pwede doon, no? Yung process ng selection, recruitment, promotion. And then you also have your financial management, no? Yung process ng procurement, process ng presentation ng financial obligations and the system itself, no? Yung process, no? Ng pag sound financial management. So those are exposures which somehow will give you that idea and the focus, no? So saan ba dito sa opisina ko, saang area na pwede ko siyang gawing focus, no? So kung may mga problema ang human resource, so maybe you can go about that, no? Or yung process ng finance, no? Or the management area, no? Leadership and something like that. So these are areas, no, which we can make use at the moment. No? Otherwise, kung talagang immerse ka, no, expose ka sa mga ganap sa society, then that could be a very good way, no, to collect your problems and somehow look at your lens. No? That is the one product, no, which I would like to share na nagiging outstanding research. Kasi ang research na is on prostitution. So dinala siya, no? Dinala siya ng university dun sa kanilang cohorts, no? So dun sa Pampanga, dinala siya dun sa Angeles. So may mga establishments doon. Tapos i-immerse ka doon para makita mo ano ba yung industry ng prostitution, ano bang naganap doon. So dadalhin ka doon, no? So as an immersion para you can take down notes, no? And then learn from the situation, no? So it's a situationer, okay? Alam mo ang kaniyang nagiging research is not on the prostitutes, no? It is on the role of the mamasang, yung bugaw. So yun ang kanyang nagiging focus. So nakita niya doon sa immersion na merong isang actor, no, yung bugaw, na hindi natutuloy yung negosasyon kung walang bugaw. So very relevant ang role ng bugaw sa world ng prostitution. So hindi niya tinignan yung mga prostitutes, tinignan niya yung bugaw. So yung si Mama Sang na sinasabi. And that made the research outstanding. So there is a focus. So you look at the focus, no? So it is where your problem will arise, no? So what lens? So you have to put the spotlight, no? So ito lang, no? Because it will delineate. So it will create the scope, the parameters and the width, no? Yung lalim at saka yung hanggang saan Kasi in research naman, we cannot solve all problems. So we have to have certain specific problems only to describe, to measure, okay, to gauge, no? So, or to test. So, dapat meron tayong focus. Sa pagiging teacher natin, no? O kung baga kung if you are in education, so a lot, no? Is it on the instrument or is it on the instruction? So maybe pedagogies or strategies for teaching learning. Or maybe the learning management system, which is now very much important, no? In the conduct of flexible learning. So look for a focus. No? Look for your lens. Okay? Kasi ang sinasabi natin palagi, ang dami naman nag-i-study ng mga prostitute na yan. Yes. Pero nakita niya yung si Mama Sang. No? So marami tayong makikita doon. No? Marami tayong makikita doon. And that will make a worthwhile lens. No? So that's the strength of the researcher now. Okay, so and then you understand the variables because one may affect, one may have a correlation, no? May relasyon, may significance doon sa isa. So what are those? Your X and your Y variables. So these are very important. Okay. Okay. There is another one, no? Halimbawa, may nag-research din about it's a literature review research, no? Content analysis approach. So ang kanya naman is yung contextual use of the president's speeches, no? Yung sinasabi ni President palagi, no? Yung ano ba to? Yung pagmumura ng presidente. Okay? So lahat ng narratives, no? Lahat ng mga speeches, lahat ng mga pagkakataon, no, na sinabi ni President yun ang kanyang focus, no? So bakit niya sinasabi yung word na yun? So anong konteksto? So that could be a research. So it's more of analyzing. You can you can even look at collect all literatures if that is historical approach, no? Look at all literatures on this certain variable. Okay? So, kailangan talaga may focus. No? Ano ba ang pinakasentro ng investigasyon mo? And doon mo malalaman kung para saan yung purpose niya at the end, yung social implication. Okay? So, dapat as early as now, meron tayong interest focus. No? Why? Because once we go out and then read, a lot of variables are tempting. A lot of topics are very tempting. So ang ending, wala tayong nagawa. Kasi pag binasa natin, ay gusto ko to. Tapos another literature, ay gusto ko to. So nagustuhan mo na lahat. Ang ending, wala ka ng focus. No? Kasi lahat tempting. No? So importante, ano bang gusto ko? Ano ba ang para malaman mo, no, every day na ito lang yung gusto ko, no? So ito lang yung hahanapin ko. Okay? Kasi tempting, no? Tempting yung mga pagbasa na natin ng mga journals, mga aklat, no? So maraming mga tempting variables. So mag-focus tayo, no? Kaya importante yung immersion, no? Yung makikita natin kung ano ba ang meron. I have one I did one literature review dun sa Japan, no? Yung Japan kasi is one of the OECD, no? Yung member ng the economic stable country, no? Yung Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. Yung nagbibigay ng mga ODA, no? Official Development Assistance sa mga countries. So sila yung mga G, no? Mga G8. Yan. Group 8 countries, no? So economically developed yung mga talagang astig, no? So Italy, France, Great Britain, United States, Canada, and then Japan. So sila yung mga nag-meeting, tapos nagkaroon sila ng agreement, no, na part of their GNI, gross national index or income, i-allot nila sa pagtulong. So it's a humanitarian organization, yung OECD. So part ng kanilang pledge ng kanilang gross national na iaalay o ibibigay humanitarian reason sa mga countries na nangangailangan. So yun ang OECD. Doon nabuo yung mga ODA, yung mga regalo, no, ng mga countries doon sa mga iba't ibang countries. So I was interested on Japan, and I would like to find out bakit number 1 tayo sa Japan, no? Bakit number 1 tayo sa mga bigayan ng Japan? Okay? Yung nag-tsunami sa Japan, tapos tayo dito nag-Yolanda, inuna pa nila ang Pilipinas, no? Yung di ba, nagkaroon ng nuclear nag-melt, no? Kasi tinamaan yung kanilang planta. So dahil sa yung tsunami. So bawat bisita ng Prime Minister dito sa atin may dala-dalang helicopter. Okay. So namimigay yung mga JICA, no? Yung mga highway natin may nakalagay doon na it's under the relationship of Japan and Philippines, no? Through the Overseas Development Assistance. So kasi meron tayong sinasabi, meron tayong JEPEPA, Japan-Philippines Economic Partnership Agreement. So gusto ko lang malaman, this is actually from my subject on political science. Tapos background ko kasi is economics. So I want to find out ano bang sinasabi ng literature tungkol dito? Saan ba nagsimula yung pagtulong ng Japan sa Pilipinas? Bakit tayo ay number 1? Bida tayo sa kanila. So what you have to do is to collect literature. So this is looking at all literatures on ODA. And then nalaman ko doon na talagang yun pala ang pinakabuod ng batas ng Japan doon sa pagbigay ng overseas development assistance. The first phase, no, yung pinakaunang stage ng kanilang pagbigay ay meron silang Japanese word, no, na it is a repayment for the damages of war. Yun ang kanilang dahilan bakit isa ang Pilipinas. Kasi sinakop tayo ng Hapon. So they are now paying the damages of war. So they identify countries na talagang para bang meron silang gratitude, no, na kung ano mang mga ginawa nila sa atin. So that was 1941, 42, 43, 44, 45 after the independence, no, when MacArthur said, "I shall return." Okay, so sinakop tayo ng Hapon. So ngayon, they are now paying. So this is a repayment for the damages of war. So isa tayo, tapos yung Vietnam, ganyan. Kaya tuloy-tuloy, no, yung pagbigay nila sa atin. So yun ang una. So it's the humanitarian. It's political. Tapos ang ginawa kong variable doon is that is it political or is it economic leverage? Okay? Kasi yun ang issue ngayon, no? Na hindi naman bigay yan eh. Utang yan, tapos babayaran, no? Tapos yung mga ganun, may interest ang bansa, no, para magbigay ng mga abuloy, yung mga assistance. Okay? So yung unang phase talagang ano yun ang kanilang konsepto until nang sinama na ang Department of Trade, no, yung Ministry of Trade nila nandun na yung mga negosyante na involved. So lumabas dun sa literature na nagiging economic interest na ng mga negosyante sa Japan. Marami silang ginawa no along the Mekong River. So this is the long river in Cambodia, Vietnam to Bangkok, Thailand. No? So yung doon sa Mekong River, ang dami nilang ginawa doon. Marami naman silang humanitarian yung nilinis nila yung ilog, no? Yung mga environment, blah blah blah. Pero dumating sa point no na nung pumasok na yung mga negosyante, nag-iba na ang anyo ng assistance. No? Kasi they will design the project, we will have to buy the product. So parang self-interest, no? Nandun na yung self-interest ng mga negosyante sa Japan. So nagiging economic na ang konsepto, hindi na yung pagbigay. Nagkaroon na ng profit, no? Ganyan. So these are some of the things no that we can make use. So we can go to the literature and review it, no? Content analysis. We can borrow standardized instrument to test our variables. We can listen to the focus group discussion, FGD, or interview, so we can get the theme, the emerging theme. So these are things that will give us the output. No? But importante, dapat meron tayong focus, meron tayong variables. Doing research is finding out certain level of truth. So we have to generate new knowledge. Okay? New knowledge will be new norms. Yung ginawa natin sa pandemic, ang dami nag-study doon. And yun ang dahilan bakit tayo may mga standard ng alert level and so forth, categorizing regions, no? Because of the statistics, no? Because of the data-driven research. Nagkaroon tayo ng estimate, no? Na bawat isa pwedeng mahawaan ng ganito. So all these are hindi marites, no? Lahat ito ay galing sa data, no? Na nag-undergo ng regression, nag-undergo ng correlation, no? Para makuha yung mga estimate. So we generate a certain level of truth, a certain construct, no? And that becomes the new knowledge. And later on, that becomes the norm. So ito na yung magiging batayan, no? Kung ano man ang ating mga decision. Okay? And we can only do this, no, through observation. Hindi to pwedeng makuha lang sa kapitbahay na sinasabing ganyan. So this is being objective. This is driven by data. So we have to do a lot of observations. Okay, so we have to engage our respondents, our setting to that level, no, where we can get the data to answer our questions, okay, or to test our hypothesis. So find out a certain level of truth. No? So yun naman ang ating konsepto bakit tayo nagre-research. Okay. Data may be new. They are existing or they can be old ones, no? But they are to be used for another purpose. So we add value to the existing data. Okay? So yung mga data, pwede pa yan gamitin, no? So parang we will add value, no, to what these data are telling us. Okay? Kaya dito sa research na sinasabi natin, no, pag humanap tayo ng mga studies, it will always be 5 years from the year that we are going to cite them. Kasi nga ang daming nagbabago, no? Ang daming nagbabago. So kung gagawa tayo ngayon, so dapat 2018, 2017 ang pinaka-list, no? When it comes to citing studies. No? Yung literature naman, well, kung book of Karl Marx o di the capital na book, no? So, or kung sino man yan, no? 1976 pag sinabing Adam Smith or what, no? So yung literature naman, kung ano yung pinaka-latest, no, na publish, no? But hindi naman lahat talagang pinablish na ngayon, no? So mayroong mga luma. So walang problema doon kasi nga literature, no? Pero yung mga studies that are using data, they have to be the latest. Kasi marami nang nagbago. So maraming mga statistics na meron ng panibago, no? Patungkol dun sa variable. Okay? So they may not be any more relevant today if we will cite them. If that is 10 years old. So hanap tayo ng mga latest na related studies. Now, so that is what we are doing now. No? So we do research because we want to update the new construct, no? The knowledge, kung ito ba ay nangyayari pa rin ngayon. So we keep on making use of the data to present added value. Okay. So wag tayong mangamba, no? Pwede nating gamitin ang old data, existing data, marami, no? Philippine Yearbook, yung data na nasa opisina niyo, pwedeng gamitin yan. Okay. Ang gagawin natin is we add value to those data, to those existing data. So that's the purpose of why we do research. Okay. There is always hypothesis. No? Hypothesis is the preconceived notion of the phenomenon. Now, hypothesis is explicit when you do quantitative approach. So testing, no? So we want to test, we want to verify significance, relationship. So we do the hypothesis. We use hypothesis kasi it's testing, no? So we want to test it using data. So it is a preconceived, no? Kaya meron tayong null hypothesis and the alternative. There is no significance, there is significance. There is no relationship, something like that. Or girls are intelligent than the boys, so we have to test that in terms of performance, something like that. So testing hypothesis. So this is explicit. Talagang kailangan to kung ikaw ay nag-quantitative, data-driven, no? ang research mo. So kailangan mong mag-measure, no? Kailangan mong mag-test ng variables. Okay? A good researcher, okay? A good researcher understand what the researcher did not write. So, ito ay isang tip, no? Pag tayo ay maghanap ng related literature. Okay. So, what we can do, we read the chapter 1 because it is in the chapter 1 that we see the problem. Why it is relevant, why it is a problem. So it gives us the introduction. No? It gives us the definition of those variables na ginamit ng researcher. Doon sa chapter 1, makikita natin lahat, no? Ng kanyang scope, lahat ng kanyang framework. And then from that statement of the problem, SOP, no? Then we go to the methodology. Ano ba yung approach? Ano yung process na ginamit? And then from the problem, so ano ang ginamit na approach to solve the problem or to shed light or to give description? And then from the methodology, the next we go is analysis. So ano ba ang discussion niya dun sa mga variables? So ito lang yung titignan natin, no? Yung problema niya, saan ang galing, paano niya process, no? To solve it, and then ang result. So ano ngayon ang nangyari? So with these three, we can now be able to determine the gaps. So this is a very good factor no, na doing research, bakit tayo nagre-research? Kaya nga sabi, paulit-ulit. Kasi may nakita tayong gap, no? So, dito tayo nag-fill in. Ito yung sa akin. Ito yung sa kanya, ito yung magiging sa akin. So, yung hindi niya na-explain, no? Yung hindi niya na-analyze or another setting, then you can fill in the gap. No? So this is where we can get our research gaps. So ano yung mga hindi nasabi ng mga literature studies na meron ka? So doon ka ngayon mag-concentrate. No? Doon ka ngayon magkakaroon ng iyong contribution. No? So it is always on research gap. Okay. So ano ba ang pwede mong i-fill in? So after doing the research, what is this intended for? Kasi ang sinabi ng mga nabasa ko, ito sila. So ito yung magiging contribution ko. So that is the research gap. No? So we have to fill in the gap. Okay? And then it will always create gaps, no? Kasi tao tayo, no? Maraming nangyayari sa buhay-buhay natin. So yun naman ang gagawin ng next researcher. So that is filling in the gaps. No? So yun ang hinahanap natin when we do the research. Research is a critical inquiry. No? It is not simply an opinion. So very subjective. No? Pag editorial, that's opinionated. When we do research, whether it's quanti or quali, there is always that rigor. No? May proseso. Some are saying, kung hindi tayo nagtagumpay dun sa ating pag-measure ng variables, failure ba ang research? No. Research is about process. No? If you don't see relationship, if you don't see significance, then that's okay. No? For as long as you were truthful, you are certain at 0.01, 0.05, no? Degrees of freedom, yung mistake na dun sa pagproseso mo, tama. No? Now, maybe, yung mga nakitang dahilan, no? Maybe hindi masyadong significant or wala kang nakitang significance for some reasons, not enough ang respondents, especially when it is perception based, no? Yung mga questionnaire. So you need a lot, no? You need a lot of sample size or population respondents to engage, no? Pag survey type. Okay? Kaya kasi yung sinasabi nating bell shape, so it has to stretch, no? So dapat nagbe-bell shape. Hindi yung lahat sumagot ng 5. So 'di ba skew, no? There's skewness, no? Lahat nandun, lahat naman nandoon. 'Di ba? Pag nag-check 5 5 5 5 5. So pag itali mo 'yan, lahat 5. So parang walang meaning, no? 'Di ba? Pero kung maraming magjo-join, talagang magkakaroon ng distribution, no? May sasagot na 1, na 2, 3, 5, 4. So it creates the bell shape. Then you look for that mean. So saan yung pinaka common, no, average ng sagot. Okay. So that is the quantitative, no. Now, in qualitative, it is also very critical, no? Because you need a very good research protocol. Hindi lang yung interview, no? Hindi lang yung interview mo, yun na, quali na yun, no? No. There is always rigor, no? Meron pa ring proseso na dapat gawin. Confidentiality, the categorization of answers, so you have to, do a very good transcription, no? You transcribe, no, yung mga narratives. Kasi yun ang pinaka magiging obvious, no, na madadala ka kasi ikaw pa rin ang magre-report, no. madadala ka sa kung anong nararamdaman mo. So you have to play with the data, not with your own biases. No? You have to be neutral at all times. No? Especially mga qualitative research. So kailangan nandun pa rin. No? We have done, no? We have the one that I have shown to you, yung that was a product of a research commission by DepEd. So we were granted through PAYAC. I think we were granted around 1.5. No? So I am part of the team. 1.5 million for a research. So we were granted, but we had done the research for almost 1.5 years. No? 1.5 years. Because we use the mixed method, so we had the qualitative approach and the quantitative. So we went around senior high school. That was all about well-being of the senior high school teachers. So we conducted focus group discussion kung saan-saan, no? Kasi we need to know the narratives, no? And then yung mga sagot nila categorize. So lang ang haba. Ang haba ng ang haba ng proseso. Okay. Kasi that would be categorization and then producing the emerging theme. No? So ano yung pinaka-common? So grounded approach. No? So kukuha ka ng theme. So it is not simply an opinion, no? It has to be objective. It has to be a critical inquiry. We have to depend on the data for analysis. Hindi siya pwedeng kung ano yung naramdaman natin. So it is objective interpretation of results. We have to be impartial. We have to be neutral. Okay. Research, they have to be useful. So knowledge generation yung sinabi natin, no? Construct, estimation, prediction. And it has to be useful to the public. Okay. So we need to have an audience. We need to have the significant sector. So who shall benefit? Who shall use our investigation results? No? So sino makinabang? No? Para ba to kanina? So there has to be public consumption. Otherwise, sayang, no? Sayang yung data, sayang yung proseso na hindi mapakinabangan. Okay? Sayang yung problema na conceptualize natin tapos nakabuo tayo ng analysis. So there has to be a group. Okay. In some researches, no, in terms of colloquium, yung presentation, meron talagang present. No? Yung sinabi ko kanina dun sa isang school, okay, for example, yung halimbawa, street vendors, no? Yung ambulant, yung mga ganyan. So pag nag-present ka na ng output mo, meron talagang representative ng mga respondents nandun. So makinig sila, or you have to give them a copy, no? Doon sa organization na doon ka kumuha ng data. And then you have to show to them, no? Na ito po yung na-contribute nyo doon sa study na ginawa ko, na kayo po ang sumagot. Ito na po ang implications. No? So public consumption. So it has to be useful para magamit nila, no, to reform, to improve the process, no, the method or the organization in general. Okay. So yun ang beneficiary, no, to whom your research would be useful. Okay, results should be written with care, precision, and concern. Concern here speaks about neutrality, not only neutrality, but also confidentiality and ethical standard. No? So may ethics committee. So meron tayong ganyan. mayroong mga nag-evaluate, no, dun sa usage of our analysis, no. Some hindi na kasi ngayon dapat no because of the information privacy law, so we don't need to put the school, the organization, no, so we just have to put company A, company B, no? So pseudonyms, okay, kasi meron na tayong information, no? Policy, privacy. So but they have to be written with utmost confidentiality, objective, no? Database analysis. Kung ano yung nag-gather mo, dun lang iikot yung analysis. Okay. Question so far? So ito po yung mga ating mga simple nuances, no, ng research. As I've said earlier, whether you are coming from other programs, lahat naman yan, no? Parehas ang proseso, no? Parehas yung logic bakit nagre-research tayo. Okay. So in the conduct of research, no, dun sa sinabi nating rigor, scientific. So we need to be scientific. So yun ang gusto nating maabot. Okay, hold on. So this is now the scientific process, no? So first we have to identify and define the problem. So yung modules 1 and 2, nandun yun, no? Pwede tayong humanap doon ng mga areas, no? How to identify, how to define the problem, how to delimit our problem, so we can really get our right statement of the problem, specific. And then we formulate hypothesis. So in the deductive, it is general to specific. Okay, so deductive is qualitative. Okay. Rather, when you say deductive, no, so it is general to specific. When you say inductive, it is specific to general, no. So when we look at our, okay, sorry. And then after that, we test hypothesis, or we collect our data. Pag tayo ay nag-quali, the purpose there is to formulate our own theory from the phenomenon. Okay, so that's the meaning, yung sinabi natin kanina. So ito yung magiging meaning. Pag tayo ay quantitative, ito yung theory, we want to test it. We want to test it. So that is deductive. And then we have the inductive. And then we collect, we organize, and then we interpret data. And then after that, when we present, after our analysis, we can formulate our general statements, no? The conclusion based on the data. And then our research must be verifiable. So ibig sabihin, others can make use of that to test again. Our research should not end with us, no? It has to be repeated, no? So dapat pwede pang magamit, pwedeng pakinabangan ng iba pang mga researchers to see the gaps, no? So kaya importante yung tama ba yung proseso, tama ba yung methodology, para may makinabang na iba, no? Dun sa paggamit, dun sa results na meron ka. So it has to be repeatedly verified. So yun ang scientific process na sinasabi natin. Identify, formulate problems, collect the data, analyze, and then formulate the conclusion, and then subject for verification. Okay, so let us go with our task 1. No? So this is our task 1. Okay, so our research scaffold. Ito yung sinabi ko kanina. So dapat meron tayong research topic. So this is the broad subject matter addressed by the study. And then we need to have our research problem. So this is the general social issue concerning controversy addressed in the research. And then we have to write our purpose. So what is the intent, objective, the study? And then we write our research question. So these are now specific questions that the researcher would like to answer. And then we have now the deficiencies in evidence. So what are you filling in? So ano yung gap, research gap na nakikita mo that you would like to bridge? Okay, so bridging gap. So ito yung deficiencies in evidence. So ang isasagot natin dito is that in most literature that I have read, ito yung mga investigation. Ito yung mga studies. So this is now particular on the related studies. No? So ano yung i-bridge mo? So ano yung pwede mong gawin, no? To add value or to fill in the gap. No? So yun ang magiging contribution mo. And then, yung sinabi natin kanina, no? So yung study natin, sinong makikinabang? So it would be in the findings would be important to whom? So sino ang audience? Para ba to kanino? So you can put the group or institutions. Okay. So yan ang magiging laman ng ating task 1. Okay. So I have to, there's an example here. Yeah. Okay. So again, this is based on political science, no? As an example. Okay. An example here, palapit naman ang ating election. So ang sample natin here is the topic is the democracy. So this is our political system, democratic. Ang research problem, no? Nakita dito is that there is lack of interest among people to participate beyond suffrage. So pag binasa mo yung konsepto ng democracy, hindi lang ibig sabihin na democratic kaya bumuboto tayo, no? That is one space, no? That is one activity that we can, no? Yung right to vote. So right to be represented, right to represent, no? So yung suffrage na sinasabi, election. Now, democratic spaces marami, no? Pwede tayong gumawa ng batas. Nakagawa na ba tayo ng batas as democratic citizen, no? As one people, no? Yung pwede tayong humindi ng batas, no? Yung mga referendum, pwede tayong mag-initiate ng bill, no? So, pwede tayong mag-welga, pwede tayong there is a social movement, demonstration. So these are things that are possible in a democratic society, no? In the concept of democracy. So ang problema dito, bakit ang tao walang interest, no, to participate other than election? So pag election dun tayo, pero yung mga welga, yung mga batas na ayaw natin, batas na gusto natin, okay? Hindi natin yan nagawa. Hindi natin yan, mga lack of interest, no, to participate. So yun ang problema dito sa research, no? Bakit election lang tayo nagpa-participate? So the purpose is to study why citizens in democratic states do not participate in political spaces other than voting. So bakit daw? Bakit daw? Okay, research question. Why democratic spaces not interesting? Bakit nga hindi sila nagpa-participate, no? Hindi ba interesting yung other activities, no? How can it be interesting Who are the people who do not participate? When did the interest to participate decline? So these are just some of the specific questions that you would like to shed light, no? Yung problema mo na bakit election lang masaya ang mga tao sa demokrasya na bansa. So pagdating sa mga ibang activities, parang hindi na sila nagpa-participate. So hindi ba interesting yung ibang activities, no, sa demokrasya? Okay. Paano bang magkakaroon tayo ng interest doon? Sino bang mga hindi nagpa-participate? Kailan ba nangyari na talagang there is attrition, no? Na nawawala ang interest ng mga tao to participate? So these are specific problems, no, that would somehow answer why there is lack of interest to participate other than the right of suffrage, no? Yung election. Okay, so deficiencies in evidence. Related literature limited to suffrage as prominent democratic space. So most of the literature na nabasa mo, puro election, no? So yun lang, no? Yun ang pinaka halos topic, no, na nangyayari sa democratic space. So you want to fill in a certain bridging gap or fill in a gap na bakit nga ba? Okay. Ano bang nangyari sa ibang activities ng demokrasya? Okay. No, so para to kanino, no? Kanino to maging relevant? Okay, you can have there the local government unit, no? Because they are the legislative, especially those that initiate, no? Initiate the laws, no? Or formulate the laws, no? Yung mga batas, no, na ginagawa. So yung council, yung mga nasa kongreso, no? Or yung mga nasa barangay, no? Yung mga kagawad, sila kasi ang nagpo-formulate ng mga policies, no? Batas, no? Statutes or provisions, resolutions, no? So para to sa kanila, para matulungan sila, no? Na bakit nga walang mga interes ang tao sa mga iba't ibang bagay, no, sa demokrasya. And then also public information. Okay. So this is important. This is important to educate the public. So maybe sa academe, importante ito. Okay, so these are some of the groups. And then later on, you can identify kung sino-sino yun, no? Na pwedeng makinabang dito sa gagawin mong research. Okay? So research topic, research problem, purpose, research question, deficiencies in evidence, and then relating the study to the audience. So para ba siya kanino? Ayan. So ito yung magiging task number 1 natin. So it's a one paper. It's I hope it is only a one paper. Okay? Just enough for all the answers. You don't need as much paper because the first requirement is you have only to focus on what you want. Okay? I think that's the message for the discussion tonight. So we cannot answer the world. We have to go and see where are we coming from. So let's look at the focus. Right? Certain problem only. Okay. Would there be any questions? Yes, please. Okay, I'll stop the sharing muna.
Sir, good
Yes,
evening po.
Ronald.
As to the research topic, talaga po bang isa lang ang ilalagay dyan? Or is it the recommended, no? Na isa lang ang ilagay? Kasi ah, I am thinking now, yung halimbawa, mga concepts na related naman, halimbawa, organization adaptability, tapos public service provision. Pwede po ba yun?
Yeah, ang importante doon makikita mo yung XY, no?
XY. Okay, sir. Sige po,
So
sir.
pag nakita mo yung XY, yun na yun, no? So okay, for example, I'm looking at pedagogies, teaching pedagogies, no? So I would like to look into the perception ng mga learners ko tungkol dito sa technology based, no, na ginawa ng school, no? Kasi nag-create, no, halimbawa learning commons nung sa DepEd. So how is this affecting the engagement of students? So learning engagement and technology. So meron kang XY variable, di ba?
Ayun. Thank you, sir. Thank you po.
So halimbawa meron kang telemedicine. Okay. So what is that all about? Teleconsultation. So is it about you're looking at the adaptability, no? Or you are looking at the technological variable? Ang teleconsultation, hindi naman nabubuo yan kung ang mga patients walang internet, no? Okay? So walang access. Tapos ang hospital din, ang infrastructure wala. So you look at that technology, no? Readiness ng technology sa pag-conduct ng pagbuo ng teleconsultation or telemedicine, for example. Okay? So that could be one, no? If you look at strategic management using the SWOT analysis of a company. So you really have to look at the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threat, no? External, internal variables. So it can give us the certain program that you would like to implement. So effectiveness of a program using the SWOT analysis. So two variables. So yun ang gagawin, no? Alam natin kung ano ba yung dalawa na pwede nating i-connect na magkaroon tayo ng relasyon, significance, or yung dalawang variable. Okay. Di ba usually ang ginagamit natin yung demographics ng respondents, no? Okay? So demographics ng respondents, ano ang kanilang attitude, no, towards another variable. Okay. So yung ginawa naming research, yung pinakita ko. So nalaman namin doon na kasi ang patungkol doon sa 'di ba tayo sa PRC meron tayong mga licensure sa teachers, no? Professional teachers. So kailangan ng every 3 years we have to do professional advancement para makapag-renew, no, ng ating yung CPD, no? Continuous professional development. So we need to have trainings, no? So nakita namin doon na ang talagang may relasyon sa pag continuous training is yung mga nasa gitna, no? Nasa gitna ng age bracket ng teaching at saka ng experience ng pagtuturo. So siguro yung mga matatanda parang wala na ako diyan. Pero yung mga nandun sa age bracket ng gitna, talagang sila yung ang daming gustong i-engage na training. So yung demand for professional development based on sa age bracket. So makikita doon, no? So may variable. Okay, so ang importante is you look at two variables on the study. So if this is your teaching pedagogy, so what is this to what? Performance. So anong epekto dito sa performance ng estudyante ko using this pedagogy, using this strategy. So that is already the X and the Y. You wanted, marami akong I was I don't know if I can, maybe next meeting, no, we'll have that in our discussion. I have been part of a research presentation of one state university. So I'll show you some example. Meron nga doon, ang kanilang project is yung lang. Kasi gobyerno, so they propose a program, a project development. It's a research based, no? Yung putting up CCTV. Kasi kailangan ng budget galing sa gobyerno. So you have to justify it using a research-based, no, approach. Kasi agricultural campus sila. No? Meron silang malawak na palaisdaan, no, na ginagamit doon sa kanilang program ng fishery. Ang daming nakawan, ang daming nangyayari, no? So there's a problem with their productivity and yung pag-conduct ng kanilang programa. So ang kailangan nila pailaw at saka yung CCTV. No? So they have to conduct a study why there is a need, no, to do that. Okay. So i-explain mo yung background, bakit kailangan, anong problema, bakit siya relevant. Kasi naka-apekto siya sa productivity ng programa. No? Okay. So meron siyang ginamit doon na variable. Okay, something like that. Okay.
Sir,
So,
good evening po.
Good evening.
Sir,
Yes.
regarding with yung pinag-uusapan nyo ngayon and yung question po ni Sir Roland, ito po ba yung if I'm not mistaken, ito na yung magiging tasks for yun yung parang end or yung output? Tama ba?
Always when we do research, di ba pag nag-conduct tayo ng research, meron na talaga tayong ano ba ang pinaka-endpoint nito? Diba? Kasi ang mahalaga sa research yung proseso. Yes. So meron na talaga tayong, may social implication na no? Ano ba ang pinaka-endpoint nito? So I have to do a modular, I have to develop modules because I want to improve the performance of my students in a blended learning platform. So modular approach. But I want to test whether there is really improvement. No? So how to do it? So you conduct a process. No? That is now the research. But alam mo na ito ay talagang, kaya may hypothesis, di ba? Preconceived. No? Alam mo na ito ay makatulong, no? Dun sa performance ng mga bata. But to what extent? Kaya you have to do a research. No? You have to gather data. Maybe you can have experimental and control groups. No? So yung isang grupo, bibigyan mo ng modules. Yung isang grupo, hindi mo siya bibigyan. So just to test, no, na meron talagang epekto ang paggamit ng module sa performance ng mga bata. So that is why we do research. So we are after on the process. Kasi alam na natin na talagang meron but to what extent? So that is why we have to do something. Okay. We want to investigate and maybe later yung mga nasa pandemic na, no, we have some estimation, predictions. because these are coming from the data that we use, no, to analyze. Of course, using a certain methodology, no, approach, regression, we can do that, or standardized inventory, yung mga survey, no, na accepted kasi standardized, no? So we can make use of that. So yan, ang output natin, no, actually is really the one page. So the one that I have shown, if I may preempt your submission, no? Kasi baka ma-limit ang inyong submission kasi nakita nyo na. But I just would like to make things easy for us, no? So yung, can you see my screen? Hindi na.
The moment,
Parang
sir,
hindi.
ano lang,
Classroom, ang
sketchpad,
classroom.
parang ganyan.
Wala. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I will. Okay, this one, can you see it again?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So, yung isa-submit natin na task number 1, no, is yung kanina na sinabi natin. Ito lang yun, yan. So may mga samples na tayo dito. So later on, we will see relationship. Okay? For example, dito, ang kanyang ano is property investment. Okay? So this is a valid one. No? So this is a topic for MBA. No? Research problem, the importance and opportunities of property investment during crisis. So that's the problem. No? Purpose, to know what the advantages and the types of strategies in investing during this time. No? Okay. Tapos research question. Then research gap, and then relating the study to the audience. So ang comment ko dito is that ito na yung mga variables mo, no? Okay? So property investment, may crisis ka na sinasabi. So we have to be specific, ano to, no? Financial economic ba or the pandemic, no? So may dalawa ka na, opportunities and then investment. Okay. And then pagdating mo sa purpose, you want to find out, no, types of strategies. So if this is investment, are we talking about product promotion here? So kayo kasi ang nakakaalam, no? Ano ba ang pinaka-end goal natin dito? Okay. So meron ba tayong pino-promote, no? Kasi if you would like to look the questions, okay. So what are type of property is best to invest in? Okay. Location, development, okay. And then budget. So this could be analysis, na a good analysis in the discussion. So what are we trying to get, no? So yung malawak kasi yung strategy. So maybe this is focus on promotion, product promotion. So you have to, you can choose, no? Kung ano yung nararamdaman ng researcher, kung saan siya mas komportable, no? Dun sa kanyang gustong iimbestigahan. Okay. So when the student was asked, no? Yun talaga ang kanyang gusto, no? So sa panahon ng ang company niya, sa panahon ng pandemya, nasa real estate siya. So paano pa ba i-convince ang mga tao, no, na pwedeng mag-invest, no? Wala nang pambili ang mga tao, no? So how to make property investment attractive amid the pandemic, no, or the crisis. So I think the purpose here is to really promote the product, no? So how? So yun ang pwede itong magiging project later, no? So how to make a good promotion, no? Based on the data that you gathered. Ito pala yung nararamdaman ng mga kliyente. Ito pala yung perception ng mga kliyente. Ito pala yung gusto nila, no? So ano ang klaseng investment that would arise, no, in times of pandemic? So opportunities. So baka meron, no? And then paano siya ipopromote, no? So paano siya i-market, no, sa panahon ng pandemya? Ayan. So importante daw to sa mga investors. Siyempre, no? Sa mga developers. Okay. So ito yung kanyang scaffold. Okay. So if you wish to, I would like also you to go and search some in line with your program, no? So pwede tayong ask some help, no? Halimbawa dito sa mga business side, no? Sa mga taga MBA. So ito po ang good topics, no, to start with and to get our focus, no? So you can look at the market analysis, no? Financial, brand analysis, product analysis, demand analysis, risk analysis. So these are good business research, no? So pwede pong humiling dyan ng mga titles and variables, no? So anong area ba ang gusto mo, no? So financial, market, brand, product, distribution, demand, risk, competition, competitor. So meron po tayong mga link, no, na pwede nating puntahan. So meron ako mga links dito. Ano pa ba to? Okay. Yeah, ito yung mga business administration. Yan. Employees retention, TQM, impact of TQM, banking sector, economic growth. So these are some, no? Relationship of financial incentive to worker morale, influence of advertising on consumer behavior, role of packaging on branding, okay. Impact of digital or online marketing, impact of relationship, consumer behavior. Yan. So may mga ano dito. May mga good areas, no? Na paano maghanap ng mga good focal points, no? Okay. Ito sa hospital administration.
Sir,
Yes.
magtanong lang ulit po. To clarify lang po, from those ideas po, doon na po namin gagawin yung one page na task number 1.
Yes. So task number 1, as mentioned, this is your time to meet some of your classmates. Maybe as encouraged, no, you can work collaboratively. Okay, so maybe you can click on some of the messenger of your classmates to get to know and how you can work together for your output. Kasi parehas lang naman ang major nyo. Yung iba nga across major para multidisciplinary. So nasa atin 'yon. Okay? So magandang idea din 'yon, no? Across program may mga collaborations na nangyayari. Just make sure lang na walang iwanan, no? Gagraduate ng sabay-sabay para you can work. Okay. So ito yung sa hospital administration, may mga ganyan. Education. As mentioned earlier, you can always go back to your old researches, no? Definitely, meron na tayong mga nagawang essay. Pwede natin yun dalhin dito at saka yun ang ating magiging starting point, no? Para mabuo siya. Okay. So these are some of the areas, no, on education. So meron akong mga link, no, nakalagay dito. Public ad. Yan. Budget, procurement, support administrative topics. So there are some of the things that you can get, no? Topics on your area. Meron ba tayong MIT, mga IT dito present? Do we have?
Yes, sir. Narito po.
Okay. Yeah, I can, sana ba yung kanina? The one I shown you. Yung aking Google Scholar. Google Scholar, you can find a lot of interesting topics. So you just have to open, no? Dito sa Google Scholar. So pwede kang maghanap dito ng mga topics. Yeah, ito pang IT to, no? So you need some software algorithms, no? So I can give you Dr. August Balute kasi he's the Doctor of Information Technology para dito sa specialization ng MIT.
Sir, Dr. Baluti is my thesis professor when I was on my undergrad.
Oh. So yeah, so pwedeng mag-create ako ng group for the MIT to help, no? Kay Dr. Balute.
Apo.
Para magawa.
Sir, 3 po kami sa class. May classmates pa po akong 2.
I think 4.
Bali po, 3 po yung nasa GC po, sir. Kami pong 3.
Okay. Parang 4 yung nandun na IT. So anyways, yeah. So ito po ang ating task number 1 na gagawin. So again. So when shall we meet next? Huh? I think what we can do to help each classmate on the topics that we are interested, we can write our own initial statement, no? Topic dun sa Google Classroom. So we can make use of our Google Classroom. Balik tayo ulit. Can you see? Wala.
Kita po, kita.
Okay. So pwede tayong pwede tayong gumawa dito ng ating mga comments, no? Dito in this area here, we can write a comment here, class comment, no? So we can put here your possible area of interest, no? Doon sa ating gagawing task number 1. And then, so each one, so we can see others if they can join you or they can make you as a partner, no? For collaborative work. Okay? So that could be very good initiative. So yun ang mga nakita namin dati, no? Na ay parehas pala kami ng interest. So pwede tayong mag-share ng resources, no? So pwedeng ganun. But if you can work alone, no problem. No? So no problem. But if you want others to see what are your interests, you can put here. Dito sa ating Google Classroom. So I'll be posting more materials, learning materials. Make time to look for the video lecture research. So makikita nyo, marinig nyo si President doon, no? Kasi yun ang research agenda at saka yung pathway, no? Yung ng research sa PCU. So nag-present siya doon ng kanyang mga template, no? And I will also post that, no? for our next discussion, parang elementary way of looking at the matrix, no? Yung area, situation, anong problema, anong pwedeng gawin, anong mas appropriate na proseso. So parang ganun ang kanyang pag-identify sa problema, no? And this will be a good exercise so we can focus on variables only. Kasi minsan overwhelming kung ang dami nating gusto, no? And that's the issue now on research, no? So we have to focus certain variables. Yung aming ginawang project dun sa yung binigay sa amin ng DepEd na budget, no, for the project for the senior high, we were able to, kasi ang daming variables. So dahil doon nakapag-publish kami as of now, no, nakapag-publish kami ng 4. So ang MRAD naman kasi reporting on specific variables, no. What I'm saying is that pag nagkaroon na tayo ng dissertation and output, yung dissertation natin maraming variables yun, no? Kasi kompleto yun eh. So malamang dun sa isang dissertation natin, makagawa tayo ng tatlong MRAD, no? Tatlong presentation by variable. Okay. So yun ang kagandahan, no, sa ang MRAD kasi is a reporting of a study, no, based on variables. Certain variables lang na gusto mong iimbestigahan. So dun sa grant na project or grant na dissertation, pwede kang makagawa ng reporting, no, specific variables. Okay. Yung chapter 2 pa lang minsan pwede na siyang gawing publication, no? Yung related literature. Okay. So if you have enough literature, so what your literature is saying, no? So you can already have a content analysis, no, on the variable measured in the literature and studies. Pwede ka nang gumawa doon ng kwento, no, ng analysis, no, doon sa mga nabasa mong literature and studies. So marami, no? Marami kang pwedeng i-separate na mga variables para magkaroon ka ng reporting doon sa sinasabi natin na MRAD. So we'll just limit, no? Limit our output at this time, no? Itong subject na to. Kasi we cannot do the complete thesis or dissertation at this 4 months only. So what we are expecting is a walkthrough practice. At least makabuo tayo ng ating konsepto, kung ano yung gusto natin, anong interest ang ating gusto sa ating programa, sa ating major. And then later on, we can add to that, no, para mabuo natin, no, at the end of our completion of our program. Okay? So pwedeng luma na, pwedeng nag-i-exist sa company niyo na problema or data na meron kayo. So pwede nating gawin 'yon. Imbestigahan, no? Mag-collect tayo ng data. Okay? So yun muna ang ating practice task. And then later on, we'll go into task number 2, how to make introduction, how to choose literature, how to So things about the intro and use of literature. And we will refresh with the delineation of topics and interest, no? Based on the output that we will be sharing. So magkaroon tayo ng critiquing the next time. So our critiquing will not be all, no? We will just I'll just choose from your submission, and then let's just see, no, if we can entertain all, no. But I'll also make my own comments, no, and then we will share that to the class, and then we will proceed with the next, no, topic for your task 2. Tapos punta tayo dun sa methodology, and then yung presentation, no? Approaches, no, on the presentation. So yun ang ating gagawin for the next synchronous classes.
Sir, just to clarify things,
Yes.
itong first activity natin ay a week-long activity. So
Yeah,
we
that's
have a
why
week.
I'm asking if we can, shall we meet the next Friday, or we'll give 1 week free, and then we'll meet February 18.
Mhm.
Sir,
that
pwede
will-
bang gumawa tayo ng poll sa class? Kasi I don't think na makakasagot ang iba ngayon. Hindi
No,
ko lang po
I'm
kasi.
can I have my, kasi I'm giving way to another professor. Okay? So I think
Yes
this
po,
is
yes.
the best option. So nagkita tayo ngayon 4. Okay? Kasi 4 na beses lang tayo magkikita. So the rest will be for your individual Google Classroom submission. So nag-meet tayo ngayon 4. So ang next natin sa 18. Pwede ba 'yon?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tapos ang next nun, holiday 25. So ang next ngayon ay March na, no? March 4.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes po. Sir, I believe Doc Poblete po, sir, already announced na every Friday po merong meeting sa kanya. 7:30. Every Friday, sir. 7:30 p.m.
Mag-a-adjust siya.
Okay, sir. Sige po.
Kaya nga gagawin nating alternate kasi mag-alternate din siya. So halimbawa, mag-meet kayo sa 11. Tapos mag-meet kayo sa alternate. No?
Yes, sir. Yun na lang din siguro ang sasabihin namin kay
Oo.
Dr. Poblete.
Yes, sir.
Malinaw ang mga
Alternate.
bagay. Sige po.
So kung hindi tayo
Thank you,
mag-meet
sir.
ngayon, sa kanya kayo. Tapos next time, tayo naman uli. Ganyan.
Yes, better, sir.
Para magaan. Para may time for whatever requirements for the next. May isang week pa tayo na bakante para the next meeting ma-prepare lahat. Ganyan. So we will have 4, 18, and then March 4, and then March 18. O yun. 4-18, 4-18 pala tayo. Parehas lang ang date. So that's it. For 18. Now, based on experience, no? Ang nangyayari kasi yung iba nakikiramdam muna, no? So kung magkikita tayo sa 18, hindi pa ready ang mga task nyo, no problem. Okay? No problem. We continue basta may task 1 na utang, no? May utang kayo ng task 1. So we will continue with our discussion. So we will proceed with task number 2. And then we will proceed with task number 3. And then task number 4. Okay? So, hindi siya yung deadline ng task number 1 sa 18. Hindi. As long as you can cope up with the requirements little by little hanggang makabuo tayo ng task 1, 2, 3, and 4 para may grade tayo. Okay?
Yes po, sir. Sige po.
So, if group or individual nag-submit ng task number 1, halimbawa, nag-submit. So, sa February 18, pwede nating i-critic. No? Kasi may submission. No? So, we can have an update by using the submission of those who were able to submit. And then, task number 2, task number 3, task number 4. Ganyan. Basta ang ating deadline nito, I think nasa tayo? First week of May? First week of May. Election pa pala. No? So, kailangan nating matagumpayan. Okay? Question?
Wala na po siguro, Doc. Mag-iiwan na lang po kami ng mga comments doon sa natin, Google Classroom, if ever.
Correct. Okay. Can I borrow your camera for our attendance tonight? Those who can, let's show our faces. Yan. Good evening po.
Good evening, sir.
Ayan. Okay. I have two screens, no? 2 slides. 1, 2. Second. Wait. 1, 2. Doc, si Jay, naka-duty ba?
Yes po, Doc. Yes po, Doc.
Okay. So, thank you po sa pagdalo. I'll give the recording to the class if needed. So, salamat. Good night.
Thank you po,
Thank you,
Doc.
Doc.
Thank you po,
Doc.
Doc. Thank you po.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doc. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po, Doc.